what you think. The Work and Pension Secretary Liz Kendall has said that jobless youngsters who refuse to find work or training through government programmes will lose their welfare payments. Nearly 1 million under 25s are not in education, employment or training. The plans are part of so-called sweeping changes promised by Keir Starmer at the weekend to slash what he called the bulging benefits bill, which is almost £140 billion. Now, that I feel that figure probably includes the state pension. So we're not talking about that here. But Nelufar, you are, I think, the youngest person on the panel. Is it fair to say, I'm sorry, under 25, you don't claim benefits? That's not who they're for.
If I'm the youngest person you got here, then that's terrible for 36. But I do find this to be... This is why this concepts like this and ideas like this are so pernicious and they're so ineffective, because they generate the big headlines. Tories did it. Labour have decided that it's going to be a vote winner for them as well. Essentially, they're pinching policies that are going to get people riled up and on their side. How are you going to enact, roll this out? If people are in need, if they're not in education, employment or training, they are already hard to reach communities. They are already finding issues with getting into work. They are already problematic or having trouble in whatever way. Making it illegal or telling them that the one source of income or line of support that they have is going to be removed isn't, frankly, going to work or be effective enough.
Well, maybe not working, but you could do it, couldn't you, Andrew? Because they're not hard to reach when they're asking for money.
No, but first of all, I think that the Labour government are doing this because it's a car crash Labour government who's unpopular, as we're saying, with opinion polls. And I think this is some red meat that they're trying to throw out there to distract of the car crash, what they're doing in government. Now, I agree with the policy because I think that you need to actually not let people get into that cycle of worklessness. So, I mean, I had a paper round. My first job was a Saturday kid at Greg's Bakery. And so I think it's important to get people out working because it's that respect of earning your own money, that pride in doing that. And I think that's right, Jeremy.
Actually, when I saw that figure, it was so big, I thought it's got to include the state pension. Guess what? It doesn't. So that's just benefits for people in working age.
And so we're taking out on the youngest of that demography. Why? Because we can? Because they don't vote? I mean, this feels very deliberately targeting a group of people. If we're saying that everyone of any age group is going to be targeted by this new policy, fine, I don't have a problem with it. If you want to be cruel with your policies.
Just get everyone out to work.
But the fact that this is specifically... Another thing is fundamentally important. I remember being 16, I remember being a Saturday girl. I actually started work when I was 15, being a Saturday girl in a pharmacy, and I remember the importance of getting that pay packet. I value it, I understand it. I'm not sat here saying, let them all sit at home and rot. What I'm saying is, if they're already part of that NEET community, then they're vulnerable.
Sorry, NEET, hang on, not in education, employment or training.
Or training.
Yeah,
so they're not in training to become anything or any otherwise. This is really important to say.
But why don't you just get them out? It's all very well saying, they need to be paid. If you don't pay them, then maybe they think, OK, I need to find a job.
Yeah, absolutely.
It doesn't work like that.
Does it? Help me understand why not.
The reason it doesn't work like that is because you're essentially taking away a resource and offering them nothing in exchange. What is the Labour policy to ensure that they actually get the training that they need?
No, I mean, look, I was the skills minister for a short while, wasn't I? And it is about, if you're not going to do education, I mean, we had lots of policies where it'd be sort of like work experience, which it'll be lots of employers to give them experience to then test out different industries. And I think that's important. We need to get people working. And then we need to, don't need to import foreign workers as much. We actually need to get our own British people out to work.
Let's talk to Joe.
And then maybe productivity will go up.
Well, let's see. Joe in Sheffield, what do you think of this?
Hello, morning all.
Morning.
I'd like to really speak to Nelufar, if that's OK.
Of course, yeah, she's right here.
First of all, she's just summarised pretty much what I think, but also about 6 weeks ago, approximately, a quite unpleasant caller referred to her as, she said something like, "Are you entitled to an opinion, little girl?" I took such an awful, horrendous intake of breath. So, Nelufar, I just want to say, yes, you are entitled to your opinion.
Thanks,
Also,
Joe. I actually went home and cried about that, so that's a lot. That means a lot to me.
Just
Thank you.
remember, honestly, it was horrendous. It was horrendous, and you handled yourself so well and justified yourself so well. I just wanted to say that. So, okay, I've got two friends, both with two daughters, both are 19. One of them has just been in hospital a few months ago, diagnosed with anorexia. The other one won't leave the house without her mother. They are 19. The damage that's been done by the pandemic, not only for young people, but also for many people with mental health problems, is gigantic. And before you persecute and label people and be divisive about anybody, you need to sort out the mental health services.
Okay, Joe, thank you. Lots of calls. Thank you.
People.
Stephen in Aberdeen, hi.
Hi. No, they shouldn't get.
You agree with that? What Joe said?
Yeah, I don't think that they should get, and I do appreciate everything that gets said and the fact that people have COVID and so forth and what have you. However, if you get money, then you've got to do something for it. Now, if there's people in remote areas or so forth, then yes, there's online training, there's this, there's that, the next thing. I'm sorry to say, if you put that in the onus of what you need to put in your cupboards, does that mean to say if you don't have money, technically, you've got the right to go into the shops and take? No, you don't. And I understand, because no disrespect.
Stephen, Joe was talking about two friends of hers, two daughters. One has anorexia and one can't leave the home without her mum for whatever reason. So neither can work and they need benefits.
They can do something in the house so that they can be proactive. If I may, Jeremy, with all due respect, I personally, like your panel, work Saturday jobs, About 5 years ago, I was working, I got involved in an accident at work through working with autism. My mental health has crumbled. I'm waiting on a knee replacement and so forth. And as a result of that, does that mean to say at the ripe old age of coming up for 55, in the condition that I am, that means to say that I could look at the benefits I get and say, no, I don't need to make an effort? And that's not the case of the younger generation that have these problems.
Yeah, no, I hear you've really been in the wars. Yeah, Stephen, thank you. Emma in London, hi. Hey, Emma. Okay, Margaret in London, hi.
Hi.
So, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm Margaret. My son had a bike accident years ago. He's got nerve trouble. He can't work. I had a stroke in 2018. He had to look after me. I've got a daughter, but she's useless. But it's not fair on my son because he can't work. He's been in the hospital. They can't do nothing for him because he's got a nerve that's loose, and they can't. If he has an operation, he could be in a wheelchair.
No, okay, so we're into the area of disability here, and
yeah.
That's under stress. Sounds terrible. Is there any job he could do, do you think?
No, he can't. He can't. If he gets a job, he'll get a terrific headache. Then he has to lay in bed because he can't get rid of his headache. There's nothing the hospital can do for him.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear.
And he can't work because
neuralgia.
He's got neuralgia, has he, Margaret?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, no, because I suffer with trigeminal neuralgia. And I remember it kicking off. They call it the suicide disease because of the pain. And it can even be the wind that blows and kicks it off.
Really? Is this like cluster headaches?
No, God, it's literally, just before I did a PMQ one time, it started, and my very first PMQ, and I fluffed my wares because it affects my ear. I can't even touch that side of my ear, down my throat, to my vocal cords. And if it's really bad, literally I can't move, and it's debilitating. But I won't take medication because it just, zones you out. And so I do understand.
What do they give you for that? Amitriptyline or something?
Yes, but it doesn't touch it, to be honest.
No. So, well, Margaret, there we are. I don't know whether it's inspiring or not, but Andrea managed to get through and be a government minister with this thing.
Yeah, well, the hospital permanent said that he's had a whole body scan, and they said there's a loose nerve in his neck they could operate, but if they do, it can land him up in a wheelchair, so they're going to leave him as he is.
They could operate with
Thanks,
mine, but I
Margaret.
chose not
Really?
to, actually.
Is it a nurse loose nerve? I've never heard of that.
What they do, they cut into your skull, and they put like these Teflon sponges to stop the nerve pushing on everything.
Okay.
So, but no, I chose not to have it. Yeah.
The chronic pain conditions that people live with, even just guests in the studio. I think it was Emma Barney who came in and said she's got endometriosis and she's in pain the whole time.
I've got fibromyalgia.
Yeah, okay, so there we go, which Kirsty Young had. There's a lot of it, particularly women actually have more chronic pain conditions and more autoimmune is the one. Everything bad has the word autoimmune attached to it. Everything. Linda in Kent, hi.
Good morning, Jeremy. How are you?
I'm well. We're doing a little doctor's surgery here if you want to declare anything.
Yes. Well, I suppose people are going to say I'm not very sympathetic, but I've talked to you before about people who, and I don't think it should just be people under 25. I've spoke to you before about a neighbour that I had.
You had a neighbour who was just laughing all the time. Yeah.
No, yes, he thinks it's funny that he's been on. He was at school with my son. My son goes out to work every day. Not in a particularly good job, but it gets him through. But I just think I'm not unsympathetic because I suffered with mental health problems since I was 17. But I always went to work. It was bloody hard. I'm sorry. It was hard.
Yeah, I wonder whether if we...
Some days I didn't want to get out of bed.
I know you had a lot of mental health trouble. I mean, we've gone into this zone of illness, but it's not really about that, is it? This story is about you're 23 and there isn't anything for you that you want to do. You've watched the X Factor and you think you've got a right to be famous.
Yes.
And the only job is picking fruit. Isn't that right, Nelufar? And you don't want to live in a van for 6 weeks.
Fruit? You're picking on me.
Picking fruit. What's wrong with picking fruit?
Listen, picking fruit is a fantastic job and it should be done. I just reject what you've just said about a 23-year-old sitting at home watching.
You can't choose what job you do.
Oh no, I can't be Ariana Grande. I better not.
I disagree.
So true.
From all the schools I'd been in as an MP, even when I was a councillor in Lincolnshire visiting schools, I remember this in Lincolnshire. This one particular pupil said, "What can you do for pupils who live in the rural areas?" And I said, "Work the fields if there's a job." You know, my sisters did potato picking and stuff like this when they was growing up when we lived in the country. And I remember one of the teachers looking so shocked and saying, "Well, we want more for our pupils." But what is wrong with manual work? And I think it's wrong with snobbery. It's snobbery.
Okay. Please do not point to me and say snobbery.
I'm not saying it to you. I'm saying I was talking about.
I understand,
but I mean, there was an element of snobbery, wasn't there? Because you don't think people should work in fields.
What on earth is happening?
Go on,
here?
come on.
Nothing close to what I'm saying.
Go on.
Are we having parallel conversations, panel? Here's what I am saying. I'm saying at the tender age of 16, one needs encouragement and an understanding of what the workforce looks like. Then one needs to be given the opportunity to go and try something out and find a career that one can sit in for the next 50 years. Telling Charlotte in Aylesbury, oh, do you know what, Charlotte, there's nothing going for you. Potato picking isn't the right way to encourage. One moment. We want
in the UK. A job that's there.
In the UK, we want a robust, thriving workforce that can compete on a global level. Potato picking, Jeremy, isn't going to be it.
Can I just say?
I return to my original point. Go on.
It's actually about earning your own money, that self-respect, and the teamwork, and it's transferable skills that they can put into. It's about earning money and being self-sufficient.
You obviously disagree on that. I have no view. Sarah in London, hi.
Hello, hi there.
Should young people pick fruit? That's basically what we've got to now.
No, not everybody's born with the talent of picking fruit or baking pasties in Greggs. You know, some are really talented. We need more vocational, technical training colleges.
But if Sarah, the only job...
So you're saying that retailers are untalented? That's very snobbery and very looking down on... I mean, I did retail for 18 years and you know, there's some of the most lowest paid and, you know, you wouldn't be getting your food shopping if it wasn't for these retailers.
Yeah, well, let me just say this. I own a salon. I've had a salon for the past 10 years and I've had mothers coming in desperately seeking work experience for 12, 13, 14-year-olds for their daughters. And I've given them work experience and they're extremely talented. Now, between 16 to 18, school leavers some of them cannot get apprenticeships, okay, because there's no apprenticeships available for school leavers. And others, for example, beauty colleges, you can't start a beauty college, MBQ level 2, until you're 18. So between the ages of 12 to 18, they just become a mess. After a few years, I've seen them on the street. They're smoking drugs. They've become pregnant. You know, but these girls are so talented.
I see, it's such a waste.
Not everyone's academic.
I guess where we come. Thank you, Sarah. We've sort of come down to this idea of whether the state or the government has a duty to create a richer workforce experience, or whether actually the individual simply has to take what's on offer, whatever it is. Later, it's the paper.